Nestor, a 52-year-old man whom his friends call Tocoto, lives in Montevideo, the capital of Uruguay. When Tocoto was 19, he was part of a local church and helped in the construction of a church building in the Buceo neighborhood. However, after a few years, he walked away and began a life of drugs, alcohol, and debt, to the point that he ended up living on the streets. There he was cold, hungry, and kicked around. Tocoto felt that just like the prodigal son, he had wasted his inheritance, had fallen too deep, and there was no longer a chance for him. He felt like his whole life was empty and broken. In February 2022, Dorita and Teresa, two women aged 78 and 84, began to visit the park where Tocoto and other homeless people lived. They had attended a Disciples Making Disciples training at their church, Alto Refugio, and were looking for a person of peace. Week after week, they and other people from the church went to the park to share God's word with the homeless people hanging out there, to pray with them, and occasionally share food with them. In this way, a house of peace was established. In April, temperatures dipped down to 27 degrees Fahrenheit. This was unusually cold for Montevideo, and people stayed home. This set up Tocoto and his friends to experience the warmth of God's love. It happened one day when Tocoto was lying under a tree trying to get a little protection from the cold. He thought, "Those old women are not going to come here today. Who would come out in this cold?" Just then he looked up and in the distance saw the silhouette of those two women walking toward them in the middle of the inclement weather. Touched and impressed, he said, "If this is not love, then what is?" Tocoto says that through Dorita and Teresa, he saw God the Father who received him again as his son and embraced him with his love after 33 years of being lost. From that day on, God began to dramatically change Nestor's life. He no longer lives on the street. Now he happily carries the keys to an apartment he shares with his friend Eduardo. He has once again found a job in construction. He faithfully attends the House of Peace in the park and tells everyone he can about Jesus. Juancho, a co-worker on his new job, received Jesus thanks to his testimony. And Eduardo, who used to talk bad about God, now goes with him regularly to the House of Peace. Tocoto knows that he still has a long ways to go. He wants to give up wine and tobacco completely and serve the Lord. His life is being transformed.